Developing skills for the Toefl IBT. Listening. Copyright 2006, Compass Publishing. All rights reserved.
Chapter 1. Short Passage Skill Practice. Skill A. Understanding main ideas in organization.
Number 1. Campus life.
Hey, Barry, do you have a second?
Sure. What's up?
I'm looking for more people to join our basketball team.
Really? Is it a team for a league?
Yeah, there is a co-ed intramural sports league here at the college. Anybody can sign up. Some of my friends and I want to form a basketball team.
How many people do you need?
We need at least 8 people, 4 men and 4 women.
How many people do you have at the moment?
We have 6, so we need 2 more people to form the team. We have enough women. We just need 2 more men.
Sure, I'll sign up.
1. What are the people mainly discussing? 2. In which order do the events in the talk happen? 3. How many more people are needed to form the team that the people are discussing? Number 2. Communication.
Many theories and models about speech and communication exist. Today, I will introduce you to one model, the Transactional Model. Remember, this is only one model of many. Let's begin with a few of the Transactional Model's characteristics. First, as people, we try to create messages using all the stimuli, or information, from our present and past. That is, we learn information as both children, the past, and as adults, the present. The amount of information we take in is controlled by something we call filters. These filters mean we take in only some information, or keep what is important to know. So, any messages we create are a result of all this information that we receive and filter, from the time we are children to adults.
1. What is the topic of the lecture? 2. What are the key features of the talk? Choose 2 answers. 3. Why does the professor mention childhood? Number 3. Campus life.
I'm new here. Could you explain how to get copies made here in the library?
Sure. First thing to know is that all copying is self-service. That means you do your own copying. Unless, of course, you have special needs, like some kind of special copying job, then you can get assistance from the reference desk.
Okay, got it. Self-service or go to the reference desk if I have a special copying job.
Machines are located on the 4th and 5th floors. Select your copier, load your originals into the machine, and insert your student ID or virtual cash card.
I understand. Self-service, 4th and 5th floors, load the originals, and pay.
Exactly. Just don't forget to hit copy.
1. What is the discussion mainly about? 2. Why does the man mention the reference desk? 3. According to the man, what can the woman find on the 4th floor? Number 4. History.
Today we will discuss the King of Macedonia. Most of you probably know him as Alexander the Great. Born in 356 BC, this King of Macedonia is considered one of the greatest military leaders in history. He conquered much of the civilized world that existed during his lifetime. Let's talk about the wars Alexander the Great led. These are perhaps his greatest legacy or memory. After his father, King Philip II, died, Alexander continued with his father's plan to take over Persia. Alexander's wars against the Persians were successful. His success resulted in the creation of a huge empire made up of the regions Macedonia, Egypt, Syria, Persia, and Asia Minor.
1. What is the talk mainly about? 2. How does the professor explain the size of the empire? 3. Whose name or names are mentioned in the lecture? Number 5. Campus life.
Susie, do you know if pets are allowed in the dorm?
Well, certain pets are allowed.
I really want to bring my dog to live with me.
I'm pretty sure that dogs are not allowed.
That figures. What kind of pet can we have?
Well, lots of people have fish.
Fish? Really? Why fish?
There are lots of reasons. They're small, they don't eat much, and they're colorful. I think you should get some fish. They won't take up much space. They'll be inexpensive. They'll also add some nice color to your room.
True enough. I'll do that.
1. What are the people mainly discussing? 2. How does the woman emphasize her point about fish? 3. What does the woman advise the man to do? Number 6. Literature.
Emily Dickinson was an important American poet. She was born in 1830 and died in 1886. You know, many people consider Emily Dickinson to be one of the first great American poets, and yet, amazingly, very few of her poems were published while she was still alive. In fact, only about 10 of her poems were published before her death, though she actually wrote about 1,700 of them during her lifetime. Pretty amazing, isn't it? She wrote far more poems than were published while she was alive. After her death, her work became more recognized. Today, you can find tons of books on Dickinson and her poetry.
1. What is the professor talking about? 2. How does the lecturer emphasize a surprising point about Dickinson's poetry? 3. What is the professor's point about the number of poems that Dickinson published while she was still alive? Number 7. Ecology.
Ecology is the study of the relationships between an organism and its environment. The organism is the plant or animal that we're observing. The environment refers to the organism's surroundings. For example, we might be studying a cactus plant in the desert. So our organism will be the cactus and the environment will be the desert. But why does our organism like this environment? That is, why is a hot, dry desert a good place for a cactus to live? We may also ask which other members make up a certain type of community. For example, what other types of plants or animals prefer a hot, dry desert climate?
1. What aspect of ecology does the professor mainly discuss? 2. What are 2 key features the professor uses to explain the desert? Choose 2 answers. 3. Why does the professor mention the desert? Number 8. Health.
Today, I'd like to talk about infectious diseases. Have you heard of those before? An infectious disease is a disease that a person can get from environmental factors. That is, from the surroundings or where he or she lives. For example, if a person drinks dirty water, he or she can become sick. These days, infectious diseases are not as prevalent as they were in the past. Back in the 19th century, they were very prevalent. For example, one widespread problem in the 1800s was babies who got diarrhea from infections. These infections came from drinking dirty water or drinking unpasteurized milk. A terrible fact we know is that diarrhea killed almost 200 out of every 1,000 infants in the year 1840. Nearly 20% of babies at that time died from this particular infectious disease.
1. What is the talk mainly about? Two. What are two key features of diseases that the professor discusses? Choose two answers. 3. How does the professor emphasize her point about infections in the 1800s? Skill B. Understanding details and facts. Number 1. Campus life.
Excuse me, do you have the time?
It's 10:15.
Oh no, the last city bus stopped running at 10 o'clock. How am I going to get back to my dorm? I don't like to walk in the dark.
Why don't you just use the campus shuttle bus?
Is there a shuttle bus stop around here?
There's one right over there. A bus should be coming soon. They run every 15 minutes, and I saw a bus pulling away about 10 minutes ago.
That's great. Does a shuttle have just one route?
Yeah, but it passes by each of the dorms.
Even Chetwood Hall?
Yeah, it goes there too.
I never knew about the shuttle service. Thanks for telling me about it.
1. What are the speakers mainly discussing? Two. How often does the shuttle bus run at night? 3. Where is the woman going? Number 2. Geology. In geology, a flow is defined as materials mixing together as they move down a slope. There are three main types of flows: creep flows, debris flows, and debris avalanches. Remember, it does not matter about the type of flow. The basic definition or meaning is the same. Flow means materials mixing together as they move down a slope. Now, one of the major differences between these types of flows, creep, debris flow, or debris avalanches, is the rate of movement. A creep flow moves slowly. A debris flow contains water and usually moves faster. And as you might guess, the debris avalanche moves very quickly. Debris avalanches occur on a steep hill or slope, so that's why they're faster. So, in order to remember them, think of them from slowest to fastest: creep flows, debris flows, and debris avalanches. 1. What is the topic of the lecture? 2. What comparison does the professor make between the three types of flows? 3. According to the professor, what are two key features of flows? Choose two answers. Number 3. Campus life.
Will I be dropped from a class if I simply stop attending?
Not necessarily. Some profs might, but others won't.
So how do I drop a class officially?
During the first 2 weeks of the semester, no official application is needed. Simply call 444-UTEL or log on to Casper Web and take the class off your schedule.
So I can drop just by internet or making a phone call?
Yes. However, later in the semester, between 3 and 6 weeks, you will need to submit an official drop notification form with the professor's signature on it. You can get that form here in the department office.
Oh, I see.
And during the final week of the semester, no drops are allowed.
Since this is still the second week of classes, I can just drop over the phone, right?
Right. But as of next Monday, you'll have to fill out a drop notification form and get your prof's signature on it.
Got it. Thanks.
1. What is the main idea of the talk? 2. According to the woman, if a student stops attending class, what will happen? 3. What does the student want? Number 4. Literature.
Genre is a French word that, translated literally, means type or category. It is used in literature to refer to the group a particular work or writing falls into. For example, 2 types of genre are comedy and tragedy. If the character in a particular work, be it a novel or play or whatever, if the character ends up in a worse situation at the end of the story, we call it a tragedy. Hamlet is probably the most famous or well-known tragedy. A comedy, on the other hand, is a work in which humor is used to entertain. In comedies, the main characters may not be great heroes, but we find them amusing or endearing because of their personalities. The ending of a comedy is usually happy, or at least not tragic. A famous example of a comedy is Shakespeare's Twelfth Night. We can see, therefore, that in a tragedy, the main character ends up worse than he or she began, while in a comedy, the main character typically improves his or her position.
1. What is the professor talking about? 2. According to the professor, Twelfth Night is a famous. 3. What comparison does the professor make between comedies and tragedies? Choose 2 answers. Number 5. Geography. Did you know that the Republic of South Africa is one of the largest countries in Africa? It is actually home to over 44 million people, but there is more to South Africa's population than just its size. Another interesting statistic about this population is that there are more Indian people in this republic than in any other country in Africa. In fact, currently almost 3% of South Africa's population is of Indian origin. I know this might not seem like a large number, but it is the highest percentage of Indians in that continent. As you might expect, the majority of the population in South Africa is black. Just over 75% of the population is black. The second largest group is whites, who number almost 14% of the total population. 1. What is the talk mainly about? 2. According to the lecturer, which of the following is true? 3. How does the professor describe the population of South Africa? Number 6. Campus life.
Hi, Professor Smith.
Hi, Justine. How are you?
I'm okay, but I'm doing badly in your class. I'm wondering how to do better.
I think coming prepared to class may do something to boost your grades.
How can I prepare for class?
Have you checked out my webpage? All of my lecture notes are on my webpage. You can download the notes and read them ahead of time.
Really? Wow, that would be very helpful.
Another good idea is to read the chapter in the book before class.
I usually don't read the chapter ahead of time. I thought hearing the lecture first was better than reading first.
Reading first is actually better. You should also jot down ideas or notes while you're reading. That way you can come to class with some questions.
1. What is the discussion mainly about? Two. What did the student want to do? 3. According to the professor, what is true about his web page? Number 7. History.
Most of you have heard stories or read books about pirates. Stories about pirates are common around the world. Basically, pirates are people who steal from others. Usually, pirates steal while at sea. That is, they use boats to attack other people's boats. Pirating, though, has changed since the old days. Yes, it's true, there are still pirates today. I bet that surprises some of you, but it's true. In the old days, pirates used swords to attack others. Besides swords, they used cannons. But today, you won't see many pirates with swords or cannons. Today, pirates use different weapons. They use rifles instead of swords, and pirates don't use sailboats like before. Today, pirates use speedboats. Speedboats, of course, are much faster than the old sailboats.
1. What aspect of history does the professor mainly discuss? 2. According to the professor, what are two differences between past and modern pirates mentioned in the lecture? Choose two answers. 3. Why does the professor say this?
But today, you won't see many pirates with swords or cannons.
Number 8. Physical education. One popular form of martial art is called karate. People all over the world practice karate, many as a means of self-defense. Some practice it just for exercise. Those are just the physical aspects of karate, defense and exercise. But karate does not only help you learn to defend yourself and become stronger. In fact, many people say that learning karate also helps a person psychologically. For example, a person must learn to deal with stress during practice. We experience stress in our mind, so it is psychological. Learning to handle stress can be helpful in everyday situations. As a person practices karate, he or she deals with stress. The ability to deal with stress can help in our lives every day. 1. What is the topic of the lecture? 2. According to the professor, which of the following is true about karate and exercise? 3. What are two key features of karate that are mentioned in the lecture? Choose two answers. Skill C. Determining reasons, purposes, and attitudes. Number 1. Sociology.
Today, I want to introduce you to the concept of culture. We all recognize that each country has its own unique culture. But let's start by looking at some of the major characteristics of culture. We'll begin with what I consider to be the three most important characteristics, in order of importance. First, only human beings have culture. A group of gorillas or monkeys would not be considered to have their own culture. It is something unique to humans. Secondly, culture exists in the minds of individuals. In other words, it is learned behavior. It is the things that we, that is a group of people, consider normal. For example, the clothes that I'm wearing now are a product of my culture and what I think is normal. So, culture is unique to humans, and it exists in the mind. Third, cultures are different. No two cultures are the same. For example, England and Pakistan would be two very different cultures. People from England and Pakistan have different ideas and different behaviors, even in simple things like how women dress.
1. What is the talk mainly about? 2. Why does the professor mention Pakistan? 3. Listen to part of the lecture again. Then answer the question.
A group of gorillas or monkeys would not be considered to have their own culture. It is something unique to humans.
Why does the professor say this?
It is something unique to humans.
Number 2. Campus life.
Hi, Susan. How are you today?
I'm confused.
All right. How can I help you?
According to the university catalog, I need to take 2 semesters of a foreign language.
Yes, that's right. All undergraduate students are required to take 2 foreign language courses.
But I already studied Spanish in high school.
Oh, how many Spanish classes did you take?
I took 4 years of high school Spanish courses.
In that case, you may not need to take 2 semesters here.
Really?
You can take a placement test. If you get a high test score, you can place out of the first semester of Spanish. You will only need to take 1 semester.
1. According to the man, what can the woman do? 2. What is the woman's attitude toward taking 2 semesters of Spanish? 3. Why does the woman mention her experience in high school? Number 3. Physics. We know that the Earth rotates very quickly. In fact, right now it is rotating at a speed of 1,100 miles per hour. But what would happen if the Earth stopped going around? Considering how fast the Earth rotates, a sudden stop would be terrible. Everything on the planet would fly away into the atmosphere. Basically, nothing that we care about would be left on the planet. It's hard to imagine and highly unlikely that the Earth would just stop one day. But what if we imagine that the Earth gradually stopped rotating? In that case, as the Earth gradually began to spin more slowly, we would notice that our daylight cycle would change. Then, we would all have a situation like people living near the North Pole. For example, we could have several weeks of darkness and then several weeks of daylight. 1. According to the professor, at what speed is the Earth revolving? 2. What is the professor's attitude toward the situation of the Earth stopping suddenly? 3. Why does the professor say this? Then, we would all have a situation like people living near the North Pole. Number 4. Ecology.
Today in this lecture, we will talk a little about the water cycle. This is the movement of water on the planet. Take the ocean as a starting place. Warm weather around oceans causes some of the water to evaporate. When that water evaporates, it becomes mixed in the air as gas. Now this water will eventually return to the land, but how does this happen? By rain and snow. Some of that rain and snow gets back into rivers, streams and the ocean. Some of the water also goes into the ground. Any idea what this is called? Quite simply, we call it groundwater. Now, this groundwater isn't trapped where it falls. Even groundwater eventually reaches the ocean again. It just circulates through underground cracks or chambers until it gets back to rivers, streams, or the ocean, completing the cycle.
1. Why does the professor mention streams and rivers? 2. What does the professor say about groundwater? 3. What does the professor mean when she says this?
Some of the water also goes into the ground. Any idea what this is called?
Number 5. Campus life.
The name of this course is History 101. It will be delivered primarily by lecture. Some audio-visual materials will be included as well, and of course there will be a textbook.
Excuse me, Professor?
Yes?
So the course format will include lectures, audio-visual materials, and a textbook. Will we have formal discussions too?
Formal discussions will not be scheduled due to the size of the class, but questions in class are always welcome.
Great. So there will be some opportunity for discussions during the lectures?
Yes, that's right. I'm always open to questions about things any of you might have difficulty understanding.
1. According to the professor, why will there be no formal discussions? 2. What is the professor's attitude toward questions during lectures? 3. Listen again to part of the conversation. Then answer the question.
The name of this course is History 101. It will be delivered primarily by lecture.
What does the professor imply about the class? Number 6. Campus life.
Hello, I need a copy of my grades.
Oh, you mean a transcript?
Yes, right, a transcript. I need a list of my grades for my application to graduate school.
Do you need an official transcript or an unofficial transcript?
What's the difference?
Well, both have the same information, but an official transcript has the official stamp of the university. The unofficial transcript only has the grades.
Is there a charge for the transcript?
Only for the official one. It costs $4. Unofficial transcripts are free.
I'll probably need the official transcript for my application.
Okay. Please fill out this transcript request. Would you like a free unofficial one for yourself?
Sure, thanks.
1. According to the woman, what is different about an official transcript? 2. What is the man's attitude toward the cost of the official transcript? 3. Listen again to part of the conversation. Then answer the question.
Hello, I need a copy of my grades.
Oh, you mean a transcript?
Yes, right, a transcript.
Why does the woman say this?
Oh, you mean a transcript?
Number 7. Health.
So, class, let's quickly review some of the facts we learned about vitamin D. We know it is important for the body. It works to help the body use calcium. In that way, vitamin D helps the body to build strong bones. It also helps strengthen teeth, which are also bones, by the way. So building strong bones and strengthening teeth is an important effect of vitamin D. Now, can anyone tell me a source of vitamin D? Yes?
We can buy vitamin D supplements from the store.
Right, that's one way, but there is a much cheaper way to get it. We can get it from the sun for free. Our skin converts sunlight into vitamin D, so just walking in the sun will help the body get this important vitamin.
1. According to the professor, what are 2 sources of vitamin D? Choose 2 answers. 2. Why does the professor mention teeth? 3. Listen again to part of the lecture. Then answer the question.
We can buy vitamin D supplements from the store.
Right, that's one way, but there is a much cheaper way to get it.
What is the professor's attitude toward the student's answer? Number 8. Social science.
Today, it is common for countries to take a census. What is a census? A census is a count of the population of a country. Officials are interested to know how many people live in the country. They want to count all the men, women, and children. In addition to the number of people, officials like to know where the residents come from. Were the residents born in that country, or were the people born in a different country? Another important aspect of the census is determining what languages people speak at home. For instance, do people speak Spanish at home? Do they speak some other language? In sum, counting the number of people, where they are from, and what language they speak are important aspects of the census.
1. According to the professor, what information does a census collect? Choose 3 answers. 2. What does the professor imply about certain people in a country? 3. Why does the professor say this?
Today, it is common for countries to take a census. What is a census?
Skill review. Number 1. Campus life.
Hi, Lisa. I'm trying to get organized for my move into the dorm next week. Do you have some time to spare? I'd love to hear your words of wisdom about dorm living and what I need to bring to feel at home in the residence.
Sure thing, John. Dorm living is a blast, and it's even better if you're surrounded with all the right stuff. So, what do you want to know?
Let's start with clothing. What do most of the students wear? Is the campus pretty casual, or are there opportunities to dress up on occasion?
Well, this is what worked for me last year. I brought mostly casual, jeans, t-shirts, and shorts, and 1 or 2 nice things in case there was a fancy event on campus.
Okay, sounds good. Mostly casual, jeans, t-shirts, and shorts, and 1 or 2 nicer things.
Remember to bring an iron. There's usually 1 in each laundry room, but they don't usually work well. You will end up scorching your clothes.
I've never ironed anything in my life. My mom always did that. I guess it's time I learned, though.
It sure is. The next thing I would look at is bedding. The residence provides bedding, but it is not very nice.
So you recommend that I pack my own sheets, pillow, and bedspread?
Yes, sheets, pillow, and bedspread. Also, don't forget some nice towels. The dormitory towels are awful.
Okay, towels too. We have clothing and bedding covered. What else do you think I need for the bathroom?
Well, you know that the showers are common, so all the other guys on your floor of the dorm are going to be using the same showers. Bring flip-flops for the shower and your usual toiletries.
Flip-flops for the showers. Got it.
Do you like coffee?
Sure do. Love my Java in the morning.
Well, you might want to invest in a small coffee maker. It's a nice luxury having brewed coffee first thing in the morning. So, we've covered clothing, bedding, bathroom, and coffee. What about school supplies?
Well, I am going to need all that stuff, Notebooks, a stapler, pens, pencils, the usual. Is there a store on campus that sells that stuff?
Definitely, and it's dirt cheap.
Okay. Clothing, bedding, shower, and coffee. You have been a great help, Lisa. I'd better get packing. Thanks.
1. Why does the man talk to the woman? 2. According to the conversation, what are the reasons for the man taking his own bedding and towels to the dorm? Choose 2 answers. 3. According to the woman, what would be true about a coffee maker? 4. What does the woman say about the dorm showers? 5. Why does the woman mention that the man should bring an iron? 6. What does the man mean when he says this?
Love my Java in the morning.
Number 2. Writing.
Let's talk a little more about writing academic essays. As you already know, writing an academic paper is very important for all college students. In fact, many of your assignments will involve writing a paper. In general, a typical college essay will be about 300 words long. But a good essay isn't just about having the correct number of words or pages. There are other important factors. For example, an essay must have an introduction. Besides an introduction, the essay should have body paragraphs. And of course, you need a conclusion. But today, let's focus on the first part of the essay, the introduction. As I have mentioned before, the introduction is perhaps the most important part of the essay. Why is the introduction so important? The basic answer is that it is the first thing that a reader will see. For that reason, an introduction must be both interesting and informative. If the intro is not interesting, the reader may not be willing to continue reading. Similarly, if the intro is not informative, the reader may feel confused about the topic of the essay. Since students often have difficulty writing introductions, let's talk about some of the do's and don'ts of intros. Let's begin with what you should not do in an intro. One thing to avoid is beginning with what we call cinemascopes. Have you ever heard of a cinemascope? A cinemascope attempts to give a wide overview of the subject in one line. For example, an intro may begin with a line like, "Throughout history, man has done something." These types of intros sound cliched and are uninteresting. Another thing to avoid in your introductions is beginning with a direct quote. For example, an intro beginning by saying, "According to Brown." Why avoid quoting someone else to begin your paper? The main reason is that professors like to hear the voice of the student first. So beginning with your own words and descriptions is nicer than using a quote from someone else. So what should you do in your introduction? The first thing to do is to imagine yourself as the reader. That is, if you were reading this paper, what would you like to see? What would be interesting for you? What would capture your attention? By picturing yourself as the reader, you are actually testing the quality of your intro as you write it. Secondly, an introduction should always give the reader some context about the paper. That is, the intro should clearly state the topic of the paper. So if the topic of your paper is popular sports in the US, you should give some details about sports in the US. For example, how many sports are there? Of all those sports, which are the most popular? How do we know they're popular? Do some sports have more fans than others? Give the reader some context and statistics regarding your topic.
1. What aspect of writing academic essays does the professor mainly discuss? 2. How does the professor emphasize her point about not using direct quotes in introductions? 3. According to the professor, what are 2 key features of a good introduction? Choose 2 answers. 4. What does the professor advise students to do? Five. Why does the speaker say that the cinemascope introduction should be avoided? 6. What does the professor imply when she says this?
A typical college essay will be about 300 words long. But a good essay isn't just about having the correct number of words.